Yep, I just pulled the engine out of my Baja again. So basically, I was experiencing a little bit of an oil leak inside of the engine, or rather around the engine. Come to find out, it was my turbo oil feed, and I have an IAG separator kit on this for the oil because I have an AN line for the oil, and I can't reach it while it's in the car. So I pulled my motor to fix one oil leak. This is how I routed one of my lines. It comes out from the AVCS solenoid right over here, and it goes into a fitting right in there. It's gonna be hard to see, but it's gonna be a T-fitting right off the back of the head, and that's my leak. To get to it while it's in the car, as you can see, it's not really very easy, and everything is in my way. There's just no room for anything. The transmission is typically like right here. There's no way for me to get to that fitting. So today I am fixing this oil leak, putting the motor back in, and hopefully driving it to dinner tonight. Let's see what happens. All right, so I'm trying to get you guys a little video on what's going on in here and how I was able to find this. So previously on a different day, I did use a UV dye on my oil system. Hopefully you guys can see it here. So right in there, get in there? No, right there. You see how it's green coming out of that area? So that's my oil leak that I'm dealing with right in there. So I'm gonna take this apart, dry it off, and then I'm gonna re-tighten it all down to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And I'm gonna try to see if we can document it for you guys so you can see what we're doing. And once I pull it off, I'll show you what I'm working with. So right here, this is the part that I was trying to get into to tighten it back down. So you have a NPT fitting right over here, and that threads onto the back of the head. It's gonna be hard, the camera's just having a hard time focusing. So this is gonna thread onto the back of a fitting on the head that I have. And then you're gonna have your AVCS coming into one of these two ports, and then your oil feed to the turbo and also one in the two ports. Not sure exactly which one it's gonna do, but I might try to reroute this in a different way so that it fits a little nicer and a little easier to access. Because ideally I want to be able to service this part if I can. I don't want to have to pull this engine again to deal with this. So let me figure out what I'm going to do, and then I'll bring you guys back up to speed. All right guys, sorry about the lighting in here. This window over here is completely destroying the quality, but here's what we have of an update. So because I don't want to pull this engine out every time I need to service that three-way joint or the T-fitting, I moved the oil feed right here, and now it's routing from the oil feed from the head going right here, and then right over here I have that T-fitting connected to the ABS module feeding the oil in, and then it's going to also route it to the turbo feed. So this line right here goes all the way down and around and comes up to the turbo feed. So this should help with my issue in the event in which I need to service it. I actually have access to the T-fitting underneath my intake. So my intake will sit right over here, and then I have the T-fitting right here on the corner of the engine. So now it's time for me to get this engine back in, put you guys down for a time lapse. Hopefully the next time you see it, it's gonna be in the car. Okay, so the engine's back in. It looks a lot different than it did when the engine slid in. It gave me a bit of a hard time. I felt like it was pretty boring to record. So I just got everything pretty much put back in here. Right now I'm just rerouting all of my coolant lines, my vacuum lines. All of the electrical connectors are back in place with the exception of the battery terminal, as well as the alternators not going in here. So I have an issue right now that I need to deal with. On the back of this power steering pump, there is a sensor that comes off of it, and it's a really, really skinny, tiny wire. When I was working on it, I did tear that apart trying to unplug it, so I'm gonna end up having to go probably to a local junkyard or something and grabbing the sensor out of the back of the power steering pump. But for now, I'm just basically getting all of this stuff pretty much put back together. And I have my oil lines back over here going into my Moroso dual catch cans. They work similar to an AVCS, but it's not your traditional IAG system that you would have one canister with the 4 lines going into them. So I'm actually going to need to replace this one. As you can see, it's a little bit broken. But I don't want to bore you guys too much with all of the nitty gritty on this, as we are doing Jake's build on his engine, and we're going to obviously show you a lot more on that one. So I'll try to button up as much as I can here, and pretty much going to call it a night tonight until I can get the power steering pump sensor replaced. All right, so I got the power steering pump replaced. I swapped it out for a 2006 WRX power steering pump. Thankfully, Subarus are all Legos, so super happy that all of this is back together. Obviously, some of the stuff I need to obviously tighten down. I have everything pretty much loosely in place right now for where I want to stop. We're about to go upstairs and have some dinner, and for now, this is our stopping point. I'm gonna pick the camera back up tomorrow, get another clip on everything back together. We already started it. It does run, it's running, and it's not leaking from the oil fittings that I thought were gonna be an issue. So this car is back, and soon I will be doing another video on this car just to show you guys what it is. So obviously, as you can tell, it's not a stock vehicle, not by any stretch of imagination, but there's a lot of little details about this car that I want to show you guys, and basically just explain to you why I built it and why it is what it is. All right, so it's the next day. Right now, what I'm working on, I'm actually by myself today. I'm going to be doing some tightening on all of the clamps. I'm going to burp the cooling system. I also need to bleed the power steering system on the car. So since I disconnected the power steering pump, some of the fluid came out. We're going to add more fluid, burp the power steering, burp the coolant system, tighten down all of the hoses, and then basically take her for the first drive with all of these things being touched. So let's get to it. Well, guys, as you can see in those last clips, the car is running. The car is idling fine. No noises, no knocking, no pinging, nothing crazy. Granted, I only pulled the motor out. I didn't really disassemble anything else. But the most important part, I do not have a leak in the oil fitting that I replaced. So now we're back in business and I can actually enjoy this car. It's been 3 months since I actually drove this car to my liking. And soon enough, we're gonna be taking it to a tune, and that's the last thing I'm waiting for. So in the next video, I will be telling you guys about what's in this car, why I need to get it tuned, and you know, maybe what my goals are for this vehicle in the coming months or maybe in the future. But I'm so excited. I'm super happy. This is a big relief, and I can finally enjoy my favorite car to drive, which is my 2005 Turbo Baja. So for now, you guys are gonna have to stay tuned, like, comment, and subscribe. You know the deal. And I will catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Take care.